The man who says, one day I will live, one day I will be happy, one day I will relax, he is usually assuming that when the pressure lifts, life will simply begin on its own. But that is not what happens. What usually happens is this: the external circumstances change, but the internal habits and identity remain the same. The mortgage gets smaller, but he still cannot rest. The business becomes more stable, but he just cannot switch off. The children become older, but now he realizes he missed out on thousands of ordinary minutes that he can no longer get back. So he beats himself up over those. The financial pressures ease, but he still just does not know what actually makes him feel alive. Because after years and years of deferring his life, he has trained himself to be productive, but not to be present. He knows how to push, but he does not know how to feel. He knows how to achieve, but he does not know how to connect. He knows how to perform the role, but not how to inhabit his own life. And that, my friend, is the cost of the deferred life.
Welcome to the Strong Dad Show with your host, Adam Lloyd. Together, we are stronger.
Guys, welcome back to the Strong Dad Show. Today, I want to talk about something that a lot of men carry, but very few men know how to name it or identify it. And I struggled with this a lot up until a couple of days ago when I was writing one of the on-series short books from Strong Dads. I'll get onto the name, but it is the idea that life will begin later. That right now is the season to endure. That right now is the season to grind. That right now is the season to just carry the pressure, keep your head down, and just do what needs to be done. And then somewhere down the road, when the mortgage is a little bit lighter, when the business is a bit steadier, when your income is a little bit higher, when the children are a little bit older, when the bank account looks a little bit healthier, then you will finally be able to breathe. Then you will finally be able to enjoy your life. Then you will finally be able to reconnect with yourself. And then you will start living life like you actually want to. Now, I call this the deferred life. And brother, it is one of the most dangerous lies that a man can believe. Not because work or effort or grinding is bad, not because sacrifice is bad, not because discipline is bad. And in fact, some of the strongest qualities a man can develop are things like sacrifice, discipline, consistency, effort, and the ability to delay gratification. Those in themselves are not weaknesses. Those are strengths. They matter. They build families. They build businesses. They build character. But the danger is not in the sacrifice itself. The danger is believing that your real life is always waiting for you on the other side of just one more season, on the other side of one more accomplishment or promotion. Because if you're not careful, and I say this with experience, you can spend years and years building a future that you can never actually learn how to live in or appreciate. Now, there's a quiet script running in the minds of many men. It sounds responsible. It sounds mature. It even sounds noble. Okay? So it sounds very good. And it says something like this: I cannot think about my happiness right now. I cannot think about my joy right now. I cannot think about rest, health, presence, connection, or purpose right now. That will all come later. That will come at a certain point in my life. But right now, I just need to survive. I just need to provide. And the seasons, the tide will change. Now, a man tells himself that he is being honorable when he thinks like this, when in reality, he may just be disappearing completely, no longer thriving and just surviving. He tells himself that he's doing this for his family. He tells himself that he's doing this for his loved ones, for his children, but slowly he becomes absent. from the very life that he's working so hard to protect. He is physically in the house, but emotionally somewhere else. He is at the table, but he's not really present. He's earning, he's solving, he's fixing, he's carrying, but he is no longer living or even thriving. And over time, this becomes his identity. He becomes the provider, the protector, the problem solver, the man who handles it, the man who carries the load, the man who never stops, the man who never asks himself deeper questions because there is always another bill, always another target, another responsibility, another reason to delay his own life. The real tragedy is that from the outside, this man often looks successful and happy and content. He may even be admired, he may be respected, he may even be envied. But inside, he's drifting further away from himself, and so far away now that he can't even see himself. Let me be clear for a moment. This is not a message telling men and dads to abandon responsibility and abandon ambition. This is not a message saying, forget discipline and just enjoy yourself every day, because that is not strength and that is just avoidance. The issue is not in the hard work that you are putting out. Providing for everyone else becomes your excuse for neglecting your own physical health, your own mental well-being, your own emotional honesty, your relationships, your mental resilience, your inner life, and your sense of meaning and your sense and reason for getting out of bed in the morning. At Strong Dads, we talk a lot about becoming the strongest version of yourself, physically, mentally, and emotionally. Not because self-improvement is some vanity project, but because your family does not need a man who has sacrificed himself into emptiness. They need a man who has mastered himself. And there is a massive difference between a man who is tired because he's building something meaningful and a man who is lost inside constant, meaningless activity. One is purposeful, the other is numb. One knows why he is carrying the load. The other just keeps lifting because he no longer knows how to put anything down. But here's the hardest truth. The man who says, one day I will live, one day I will be happy, one day I will relax, he is usually assuming that when the pressure lifts, life will simply begin on its own. But that is not what happens. What usually happens is this: the external circumstances change, but the internal habits and identity remain the same. The mortgage gets smaller, but he still cannot rest. The business becomes more stable, but he just cannot switch off. The children become older, but now he realizes he missed out on thousands of ordinary minutes that he can no longer get back, so he beats himself up over those. The financial pressures ease, but he still just does not know what actually makes him feel alive. Because after years and years of deferring his life, he has trained himself to be productive, but not to be present. He knows how to push, but he does not know how to feel. He knows how to achieve, but he does not know how to connect. He knows how to perform the role, but not how to inhabit his own life. And that, my friend, is the cost of the deferred life. It is not just exhaustion. It is alienation from yourself. But ultimately, what we all need to be aware of is that a lot of men do not break all at once. They fade, and they fade slowly, and they fade quietly. They stop laughing when they used to laugh. They stop dreaming. They stop playing. They stop training properly. They stop checking in with what is going on inside of them. They stop reflecting on how they're feeling. They stop having honest conversations, seeking help, connecting with brothers. They stop being curious. They stop being deeply present with their partner. They stop noticing the beauty in their own family life. They stop enjoying the simple things which make life so beautiful. And because they look okay and they are still functioning, nobody sounds the alarm. But functioning is not the same as living. Surviving is not the same as thriving. Because you can be highly functional, but deeply disconnected. You can be reliable, but still be empty. You can be admired by others, but still have no real relationship or respect for yourself. And for so many fathers, this becomes normal. Just the role of being the man and the father becomes everything. But beneath this role, beneath this chaos is still a man with fears, gifts, wounds, hopes, longings, dreams, convictions, and the need for brotherhood, the need for peace, the need for purpose, the need for a deeper relationship with himself. And if that man is ignored for too long, the cost eventually shows up somewhere. Where and when, I cannot tell you. It may show up in your health, it may show up in your mood, it may show up in your marriage, it may show up in your irritability, your burnout, your emotional shutdown, your quiet resentment, or the sense that even when life looks decent on paper, something still feels off. And that's the hardest thing to put your finger on. When on paper everything seems so great, but you're still just not feeling content, alive, happy. You just know that something's off. I've been there. And what often feels off is something very simple. You have been useful for a long time in your role, but you've not been fully alive. You've not been fully yourself. You've not been fully living the life that you want to live. And again, I'll say that a lot of men just think that being a good father means disappearing into duty, into roles, responsibilities. They think that the proof of commitment, love, and duty is how much of themselves that they can suppress and eventually erase. But that is not healthy leadership, and that is no way to live. That is just slow abandonment of yourself dressed up as virtue. Because your children don't just need your income, they need your presence. They need your presence more than your income. They need your steadiness. They need your connection, just eye-to-eye connection. They need your attention. They need your emotional availability. And ultimately, especially if you've got a son, they need to know what it looks like for a man to carry responsibility not only without losing himself, but also at the same time embracing and thriving and unleashing his true potential, embracing both roles as a father and a man. They need to witness your strength, not with discipline and a hard hand, but your strength with warmth. They need to experience what it's like to have discipline, but with joy. Leadership with integrity. Your partner does not simply just need the man who can pay the bills and solve the logistics. She needs the man who is there, the man who can engage, the man who can listen, the man who has not became a machine in the name of love, the man who can actually show affection and smack a little hand on her bum to show that he's interested in her. She needs a man who is alive and thriving. And you, as a man, were born for that role. You was not born just to endure the responsibilities of manhood. Now, when I say do not defer your life, I do not mean quit your job. I do not mean move to the mountains and ignore reality. I mean something far more grounded and far more powerful. I mean learning to live inside your responsibilities instead of always postponing life until after them, okay? You need to embrace instead of delay. And that just comes down to asking better questions. What would it look like for you to pursue strength now, not later? What would it look like to protect your mental health now, not after a burnout forces the issue? What would it look like to be emotionally present with your children now, while they are still becoming who they are? What would it look like to train your body, to guard your mind, and to build a brotherhood now, while the pressures are real? What would it look like to create moments of joy, moments of connection, laughter, faith, meaning, and peace in the middle of ordinary life as it is today, instead of waiting for some perfect future season that may never come? A lot of men delay the happiness of today in the hope that they will have the future to spend it afterwards. Brother, the future is not guaranteed nor promised to anyone. The present moment you are living in right now, listening to this podcast, is the only life you will ever have. Past is gone. It does not exist. The future never exists. It just becomes the present, and that neither is promised nor guaranteed. Life now is what you are feeling, hearing, seeing, tasting right now. And living now does not mean abandoning the long game. It means refusing to sacrifice your soul in the name of it. It means understanding that the life you are building is supposed to be lived along the way, not admired at the finish line. Now, most men do not need a total life overhaul overnight. They need a return to themselves, a return to their body, a return to honest reflection, a return to the people right in front of them, the brothers that they left behind, their wife, their children. And sometimes that beginning looks very simple. It looks like taking your health seriously again. It looks like going for the walk, doing the workout, lifting the weight, or getting outside instead of continuing to treat your body like a machine that can run forever without maintenance, because that brother will catch up with you. It looks like putting the phone down, playing, connecting, actually listening to your child. It looks like sitting with your partner and your wife and having a real, honest, deep conversation, not just talking about life logistics. It looks like admitting that you are tired, that you are depressed, that you are anxious, that you are stressed, instead of just hiding behind the faithful lie of, I'm fine. It looks like reconnecting with other good men who remind you that strength is not just built in isolation. It looks like making room for prayer, for reflection, for journaling, for silence, meditation, whatever it is that helps you hear your own life and thoughts again. And these things may seem small as I say them, but brother, I promise they are not small. They are how a man comes back from the edge of quiet disappearance. And all of this that I say today now is exactly why Strong Dads exists, because we believe that fatherhood should not cost a man his identity. We believe the strongest gift a father can give his family is not martyrdom, but it's mastery. That he's not sacrificing himself, he's mastering himself. It is the daily work of becoming physically capable, mentally resilient, emotionally present, and just grounded in reality, in the present moment. It's shown a man that he can live with integrity to others, but most importantly, integrity of the drowning man within him who is struggling to get to safety. The inner man who he wants to be. It's about honoring him and bringing him back to life. It is choosing discipline and control over chaos, and also choosing connection over isolation. It is rejecting the story that says, I will sort myself out later when times are easier, and embracing the truth that when a man gets stronger from the inside out, everyone else around him benefits. So in doing so is not a selfish act, because a stronger father creates a stronger home. A more present father creates a safer emotional environment. A healthier father brings more energy, more patience, more confidence into not only his life, but the life of his families and his community. And when fathers stop trying to win by disappearing, families stop paying the hidden price. And that is the kind of man that we want to build, not a perfect man, just a present man. A disciplined man, a man with integrity, a self-respecting man, a man who can lead himself without losing himself. So let me ask you something before we wrap up this episode. What part of your life have you been postponing? What part of your identity have you been ignoring? What dream have you been pushing beneath the surface in the hopes that you will get to it later in life? What have you convinced yourself that you will begin later when life allows it? Has it got anything to do with your health, your peace, your purpose, your faith, your marriage, your joy, your ambition, your connection with your children, your honesty about what's really going on inside of you? And if you are always waiting for later, what is that costing you right now? Not in theory, but in reality. What moments are being missed? What opportunities are you missing? What parts of you are going quiet? What kind of example are you setting if your children grow up watching a man who is endlessly responsible but never fully alive, sort of like a robot? Now, these are not comfortable questions, but they are necessary questions. Because a man cannot change what he refuses to confront. Now, brother, if this message hit something in you today, please do not just admire it and think, whoa, that was good. I want you to do something with it, because you cannot wait for the perfect time. You cannot wait for the pressure to disappear. You cannot wait for life to finally give you permission to come back to yourself and the man that you want to be. I'm urging you to start now. Just take one little step towards the man that you want to become. Start as small as you need to, but just make a start. Take one honest step towards your health, one honest step toward presence, one honest step toward peace, one honest step towards your ambition, one honest step towards becoming the man you can finally feel, embrace, be proud of, not just rely on. Because the goal of all this is not to escape your own responsibilities. Far from it. The goal is to live so fully and so truthfully that strength becomes a blessing to everyone else around you. Remember that the deferred life and the whole concept is a lie. Your life is not waiting for you somewhere in the future. It is here and it is now. And the man you are becoming is being shaped by what you choose to do today, what you choose to do with this episode. So, thank you for listening to the Strong Dad Show. If this episode spoke to you, share it with another dad who needs to hear it. And if you are ready to stop drifting, to stop deferring and start rebuilding from the inside out, stay connected with us at Strong Dads. Until next time, brother, stay strong, stay present, and lead your family well. Strength and honor.